Hello, hello. All right, so Sunday or Monday is typically the IEP tip of the week. Okay, but we're actually going to start a series today. But I have two IEPs tomorrow, so I'm not going to be long tonight. I know people are going to hop on, it's going to take some time, and all of that kind of stuff. So most of you are probably going to be watching the replay. Okay, so this is a one of three, all right, series, and I put this together last minute because I'm the type of person that if something is irking me or if it's something that I am dealing with personally in my IEPs and I'm finding, okay, this is something that I'm coming across, I'm pretty qualified and trained and have the experience to deal with it like that. And a lot of people aren't. And I know I used to not be. And so I want my goal here on the page and also on my group. So search Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. My goal is to help parents so they're not going out of their mind and trying to know what to do, and believe it or not, okay, like I teach in my big course from start babies to finish, okay, and then rinse and repeat. You have got to be on your toes. You've got to be ahead of the game. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about triennial evaluations. I'm going to touch just a little bit on evaluations, but that's going to be in another one. So we're talking about triennial. All right. And then we're going to talk about like really the type of evaluations, which we've done before. All right. But we're going to go into a little bit more depth. All right. And why you really want to do certain things. Okay. And then we're going to kind of wrap it up with some of the legalities of it. Of course, I'm not an attorney. I am an advocate. Do I know my laws? Of course. But what we're going to do with the legalities of it, meaning per the idea and per state law. Okay. Different things for different states, but not much. Okay. But the states want to state that, oh, it's different here. Okay. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So tonight, and only tonight, we're talking about triennial evaluations. So let's start from the beginning. My name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. That's what I do, okay? So for those of you jumping on, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, and make sure you share this because I'm sure we have to share the love, number one. And number two, I'm sure there's other people that can benefit from learning more about the IEP and the IEP process, right? So, and there's so much that goes into it, you never have enough stuff to talk about because there's always something new that comes up. So post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, and make sure to share this. Okay? Don't share it just for me. Share it to get it out there so that other people can learn. Okay? So we're going to first talk about the triennial. So the triennial evaluation, what is that? Okay? The triennial, hi Erin, hi Kim, how are you guys? So here's the thing. Is triennial evaluations are the 3-year evaluations that your school, if your child has an IEP, that your school district is required by law to do. Okay? Now, it's called a triennial evaluation. It's supposed to be an extensive evaluation based on the child and their individual needs, but very seldomly is it. Okay, so why is that? Why is it that when your school and your school district is waiting 3 years to test your child in where they are cognitively, how they are developmentally, how are they with any of the screening tests, you know, like the vision, the hearing, all that? Some kids need that, not a lot, but many do. Okay, then we have the academic achievement test. You have your adaptive behavior test. You have your curriculum-based tests. You have so many assessments. You have FBAs, which is your functional behavior analysis. You have your occupational therapy. You have your speech. You know, the IQ, the cognitive. You have your visual memory, working memory. Those kind of go together. You have your executive functioning. You have your attention. You have your reading. You have your assistive technology. Okay, usually that's AT or AAC. They're called different things in different places. You have your auditory processing. You have your visual processing. you have so many different evaluations, right? So how are you supposed to know, like, what the heck? Okay, it's been 3 years. What kind of evaluation is my child supposed to have, right? And guys, I'm sorry, my office is almost done. Okay, we're talking like by the end of this week, it's going to be done, and I'm going to be in my office, and I don't have to be in my bedroom because I am either in my living room or I'm in my bedroom because I am fostering baby puppies. And then my office was kind of getting a reboot. So sorry about that. But I don't think you guys care where I'm talking to you at, as long as I'm giving you good information, right? So here's the thing: is don't first and foremost, okay? Don't wait 3 years to get an evaluation for your child. I always say this. Do you buy your children clothes every 3 years, or do you buy your children clothes each and every year? Because they grow and they change, and that doesn't mean they're getting heavy or anything like that, but kids grow, they get bigger. Their brains grow, their cognitive ability grows. You know what I mean? Their visual memory, their working memory. And if it isn't growing, you want to know, so you don't want to wait 3 years. 3 years. Think about how much time you have lost. I did that. And you don't want to lose that time. All right. So by law, the school and school district have to do 3 years, but you can request an evaluation each and every year. Okay. So we touched on that. All right. So we touched on the triennial. We touched on you need to get it every year. All right. Now let's go into where do the difficulties and problems come in. Okay. The first difficulty is when you ask for an evaluation each and every year, the school system is going to then ask you, well, why do you want an evaluation? Do you have to tell them? No. But you can, and you can say, because my child has, significantly regressed in many different areas, and they're going to say, oh no, they haven't shown that here at school. Or you're going to say, I want to know where my child is cognitively, and I want to know what my child's IQ is, or my child's struggling with visual memory, my child's having more speech deficits, or there's some occupational therapy concerns going on, such as sensory issues, such as writing, those types of things going on, or even PT. My child's having different issues with PT and mobility and so forth. So whatever it is that you're saying you want the evaluation for, you have to then support that, or they're going to say, well, we don't see the need for an evaluation. However, legally speaking, you are allowed to have an evaluation. All right. A lot of times I will say, well, when I'm involved, there's never a problem. But you may run into a problem. So you may need to bring somebody on to kind of throw, that ball out there and that stone, to let them know, okay, I'm not playing. This is what we're doing, and this is why. And then ongoing, you won't have issues moving forward typically. Okay. But I just want you guys to know that. All right. I don't care what advocate you hire. What I'm saying is a lot of times you do have to hire an advocate if you're having trouble with the school and you're getting that no, and your IEP is not on point. I always say on point. When I say on point, that means each and every page better be on point. The words better be right. How it is written, it better be right. It better not have anything that says as needed. Say you have a substitute teacher come in. Are they going to know what as needed means? No, you can't have stuff like that in your IEP. Not that they read the IEP anyway, but you know what I'm saying. And so you have to focus on, the fact that, okay, I may have to hire an advocate just 1 time or 2 times to have them come in and say, hey, I mean business, and then I can take it over. But a lot of times that has to happen. All right, because there's some sort of disconnect, or they're just not going to listen to you, or they're not taking you seriously. But that doesn't mean anything bad about you, because that's just how they are. So you have to kind of just throw that first stone and say, hey, it's not going to go like this, and then set the tone. But going back to the evaluations and the issues. So say they say, okay, we'll do an evaluation. All right. So of course they always do a observation. And I always say, I don't care about your observation. I just want you to know that now. You can observe all you want. You can observe all day, every hour of every day, but it doesn't matter to me, because that's your opinion of my child. Do I think that, you know where my child is in a certain area, and there's some sort of acknowledgement as to what that may be? Sure. But do I think that you observing my child a couple times, or, going back on data more than likely you don't have, is going to help? No. So I want to know what tests and assessments, they're called different things, assessments, tests, whatever, and you need to make sure that the right ones are done. Okay? So that's where they're going to fight you. That's where the fight is. And I actually enjoy that fight, to be quite honest, and I don't give up on that fight. Because if your child's not given the right evaluations, there's no point in doing it at all. Okay? So if you don't fight, now here's what they're going to say. Well, that's that decision. And this is true. Okay? Legally. Okay? Per idea, it says that the evaluations are up to the evaluator. Okay? So here's the way around that. Okay? Typically, that evaluator has no freaking clue about your child. Okay? That's number one. Number two, all right, hypothetically, say they do. Unless your child has made great strides and a lot of progress and you've seen a lot of data, then they don't have a leg to stand on. Okay? Now, you got to understand, evaluations are huge. They're important. They are so important that this is where you're going to know, where is my child? Okay? What is the baseline? What are the present levels? If you don't know your child's present levels, what happens? You can't make goals. You don't have present levels, you don't have goals. You don't have goals, you don't have present levels. They all go together, all right? You have to have a baseline. Where do you start? Where is your child right now? Then you create present levels based off of the evaluations. That's why they're so important. And your goals are based off the present levels, or they should be. That's why there's so many issues with goals. So the school's you got to always think ahead, and you have to think, okay, what is the school's opposition? What is their issue going to be? Okay, when I say I want, let's just say I want the KTEA, which I like the KTEA. Sometimes I like it better than the WISC or the WIAT for the, the main evaluation in regards to like the psychoeducational, for the cognitive ability, the IQ. It does go over a little bit of math and reading and so forth. It does not, excuse me, it does not hone in on academics though, okay? So, I want you to be mindful of that. You can't just have someone do the KTEA, the WISC, or the WIAT, or something like that, and then say, okay, call it a day. No way. Okay? Because there's this whole huge aspect of evaluations, and it can't just be one. That's why I freaking hate the read, because I don't care what your evaluation of observation is. Never care about that. And I say that straight out. I don't care what you observed. I observe my child every day, but I can't really do a complete observation and let you know where they are. Can't do it. And I'm the mom, but I can tell you where my child is, and I can, give you a lot of information, but it's not going to give me 100% straight facts. I want to know the facts. I want to know the whole picture. Okay? Not one assessment does the whole picture. You have to do many different assessments to get the whole picture. All right? And a lot of schools want to just do, okay, I'll do an evaluation, and they do one or two and then done. Or they'll do speech OT and like the WISC or the WIAT or the KTA, done. No, because many of these kids have visual memory, working memory. Those kind of go together, Visual is how they picture something to remember. Working memory is that plus other memory issues to make sure that they can retain information that's being given to them. All right. If they have an issue with memory, there's going to be a lot of difficulty in the classroom. There's going to be a lot of frustration. There's going to be a lot of confusion because they're unable to really get it together and stay organized and be able to focus. And so there's a lot of issues that go with visual and working memory. Okay. So your argument is, my child needs an evaluation every single year. The reason why my child needs an evaluation every single year is because my child changes every single year. Right now, you can use the fact that, it's COVID and they haven't really seen your child in forever, or there's, 2 days on or 2 days off and all these other kind of clusterfuck things. And, there's so much that's going on that there's just no way for school systems to really have a big idea of where your child is right now. Okay? So, you have to fight for these evaluations, guys. You have to, and here's your tip. You've got to fight for the evaluations, all right? Yes, legally they have to do a triennial. That is every 3 years. You personally, as a parent, should request in writing an evaluation every single year. But when you ask for an evaluation in writing, you don't just say, I need an evaluation on my child. You say, I need an evaluation. I'm requesting a reevaluation on my child. I want a psychoeducational evaluation focused on the cognitive ability, the IQ, the visual and working memory, executive functioning. You want, an occupational therapy, PT, OT, whatever it is that you want in those. That you want reading. There's the CTOP 2, there's the CLEF 5. There's some others that you can work on and look at as well. You also have your FBA if there's behavior issues going on. You have the BAS-3 that is actually a written that you and the teachers fill out. You have your adaptive behavior. I like the Vinland 2. You also have assistive technology evaluations. I always like to have them go on the outside. Sometimes the schools have them on the inside, but a lot of times the qualifications aren't as high. So I will argue that one. And then the other thing is the TAPS is the auditory processing. Here's the thing with auditory processing, and I just did some research on this, is schools will say the psychologist will do it. The argument with the auditory processing, if your child has an auditory processing issue, it actually says that an auditory processing evaluation must be done by an audiologist. Period. All right? So I will argue that one, and I will take that one all the way home if I have to, especially if the child has an auditory processing, because that's huge. All right, that can be a expressive and receptive language. Receptive, obviously, a big one, and it can affect your whole life. So you must have that done by the proper evaluator. Okay, and then the other thing is you want to make sure. When you're requesting, all right, because it is true that the evaluator gets to choose the evaluation, I always negotiate and I say, look, these are the reasons why my child needs these evaluations. And go back to everything in your IEP. My child's struggling with reading. My child's struggling with math. Whatever it is that your child's struggling on. And sometimes your child doesn't need all of these. They just need a few. But you need to focus on which ones they really need to get the whole picture. Because if you don't get the whole picture, you're not going to get a baseline or real good present levels. And I'm looking at all these IEPs, especially nowadays, and they're just not adequate, and they're not at all on point. And, a lot of it is because all these kids are needing all these triennial evaluations, and they haven't had evaluations in a long time. Or right before COVID happened, a lot of people were going to get evaluations, and then they didn't. You can get evaluations now, guys. Unless your schools are completely closed, you can get evaluations. And a lot of times the school is open, but kids aren't allowed there right now. So you actually can go drop your child off at school to get the evaluation and then know where your child is. So the psychologist can do the evaluations and so on and so forth. The other thing too is after the evaluations, if you're not happy, you want to ask for an IEE. I always say get the IEP straight first. I like to go off those evaluations. If I have arguments, I argue them. I discuss what's going on with the evaluations, what they say, what the issues and the deficits are. A lot of times that I've found lately is a lot of OTs and speech therapists, because they're kind of running around like chickens with their heads cut off. No offense, guys, because, they're slim to none and they're having to, help all these kids. The problem is they're unable to do it all. And so they're not recommending the way they should. I have kids that I'm working with or parents that I'm working with kids. And, it's very clear in the evaluation that these kids need therapy. And, the speech therapists are, taking a nonverbal child and saying, oh yeah, 1 time a week, that's all they need. We don't want to take them out of the classroom, or, just little things like that. And I'm like, what's going on here? Twice last week I said, are you out of your mind? How are you coming up with that? You put in your own evaluation XYZ. How are you saying that this child only needs 1 or 2 times a week? Like, what is wrong with you? And I hate saying things like that, but at the same time, I'm like, what is wrong with this picture? Like, something's seriously wrong here. And so you have to fight for your child to get the right evaluations. All right. technically, can you say, I want all these evaluations? Yeah, you can. But do they have to do them? No. But by law, they do have to do what's needed and appropriate for your child's individual needs. And you just have to be ahead of the game and know exactly what exactly your child needs based off data. So if you don't have data and you don't know if your child has progressed, regressed, where they are at all, and if they're home, you can take data at home, and you want to make sure you know where your child is as best you can in a time like this, because you have to be able to argue why your child needs certain types of evaluations. All right. And then I always negotiate with the school and I say, listen, I'm not saying you can't pick and choose whatever evaluation you want. I'm just saying these are the specific evaluations that I want for my child, and this is why. And all I want you to do is these evaluations, and then you can put in the PWN, or a lot of schools have changed the wording to notice of action. Same thing, whatever. A director of special education tried to say, oh, it's not PWN anymore, it's a notice of action. I was like, it's the same damn thing. It's just a matter of semantics. And so, just know that they're tweaking things like that, and then they're like making you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. So it's a PWN or a notice of action, same damn thing, okay? Prior written notice is a notice of action. It's the same thing. They're going to tell you what they propose, they're going to tell you what they refuse, and all your stuff is going to be in there. The same information has to be in there, okay? And guess what? This notice of action has not changed on any of the state websites yet in regards to IEPs. None of them, okay? So the directors and the district and all of the supervisors, they know what a PWN is, but they try to get you all caught up in that. So just fight for what your child needs, okay? Message me if you have any issues, but you need to make sure that you focus on what the evaluations that are pinpointed around what your child and your specific child's needs are, and do not settle with just a WISC, a WIAT, and a speech OT and PT. Do not do that. There's working memory, visual memory, auditory processing. There's the behavior issues. I mean, there's so many different evaluations that you need to really get a whole picture. If you don't get a whole picture, you're never going to have the right present levels, and you're never going to have the right goals. And that is the most important thing about your IEP. I mean, I could say everything's important, but honestly, if your present levels and goals aren't on point and you don't have the right services, accommodations, and modifications, how's progress going to ever be made? Okay? So there's your tip. All right? Triennial evaluation, switch that to yearly. But if your child hasn't had one and the triennial's coming up, just ask for it right now. And you need to make sure that you ask for specific assessments and let them know that they can write in the PWN or the notice of action, which is another live I'm going to do just so you guys don't get confused. But I want you to know that you need to make sure they can add and any other evaluation deemed appropriate by the evaluator. So it's not like you're saying, no, you can't choose. You're saying you choose whatever you want. You can do 50 if you want, as long as it's done in a period of time and not in one day. But these are the ones that I really want, and this is why. Okay, and if you can support why you want certain evaluations, very rarely can they argue them. Now, what they will want to argue is putting it into the PWN or putting it into the consent. No way. If this is agreed and this is something that we're going to do, new to video, thanks for lives. No problem, Jess Allen. So yeah, post a 1 below if you're new. Tell us where you're from. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. And if you're new and you're posting a 1 below, make sure you are new and it's your first through third time catching me live. After that, you are no longer new and you're an oldie but goodie. So post a 2 below. And if you haven't joined the group, go to Autism Mama Rocks IEP group in the section and make sure to join the group. It's a great group. And I will talk to you guys soon. If you have any questions, post them below. Kim says, I don't care where you're at and when you go live. You could be anywhere as your wonderful information has been much appreciated. Hopefully not I'm getting ready for this fight on Mother. Yeah, it's hard. Hey, Christina, how are you? Awesome. Indiana. All right. Hey, Hannah, how are you? All right. So hopefully you guys got some good information there for the tip of the week. I have 2 crazy back-to-back IEPs tomorrow. I'm exhausted, as you can probably see. but tomorrow morning is a pretty extensive one, and so I have to go finish preparing for that. But I just wanted to hop on here and say hello, and I wanted to start a 1 of 3 series on evaluations because they're so important. Without evaluations, nothing happens. You have no objective data, okay? So they are so important, and I'm going to talk about them a lot because I want you to know what types of evaluations there are, why they're important, how you can know if what your child needs. Which one does my child need? How do I know what my child needs? Does my child need OT? I had a lady ask me today, does my child need an occupational therapy evaluation? And I said, I don't know. I don't know your child. You got to tell me a little about your child. But no, seriously, you have to know what evaluations. And if you don't, you got to find out so that we can talk about it because it's so important. Okay, because if you don't get the right evaluations, again, you're not going to get a baseline. You're not going to have present levels, and you're not going to have good goals. And it's not going to be based off where your child is. And so they're going to be working on goals that they may or may not improve on. And we're kind of in this hiatus of a mess. So, and I'm finding that's happening a lot lately, and I don't want it to happen anymore. And so much is going on right now, and COVID, and it's getting worse, and different states are shutting down, and things are continuing to get worse. We thought we would be back in school by the new year, in worst case scenario, right? And a lot of schools are just not. And, a lot of schools have said, oh, we're going to go back in January, February, but then more than likely they're not. And then it may go back to hybrid, and then it's going to become this mess again of where kids really need to go more and more, and they're not. And it's just a mess. It's a mess. Things are not going to get better for a while. And, the worst part is that the kids are going to regress a little bit. They're probably, with a lot of kids that I'm working with right now, there's so many behavior issues at home, and the kids aren't wanting to sit on the computer. They're not able to sit on the computer. I have a child where he has 7, 8, 9 different online, Google Meets every day. It's insane. I mean, it's crazy, and kids are just losing their minds. And, it's frustrating for me, even as an advocate, to hear these things because these poor kids are just so frustrated. And, it's really unfortunate because, parents are out of their minds. Work is becoming issues because, you're trying to be home for your kid, you're trying to work, and all this, balancing going on. And, I just want you to know I totally feel for you. I just can't imagine, having to continue to fight and wanting, the very best for your child and just keep getting the no. So I want you to kind of step back for a second, and we're going to just do this together. And, like I teach in my main course, all right, you got to start at the beginning, all right? You can't, kind of start way out here because you're out here and you've been dealing with it for a while, and then stay out here and try to get things done and still stay out here where everything's not happening. Even though you're like 2 years in and, this is what's happening, you got to go all the way back to the beginning. And I'll tell you, to save you a whole hell of a lot of time. It may seem like, oh my God, I got to wait 60 days. I got to have the evaluation. Maybe it's 90 days because you have to have an IEP and then talk and then have the evaluation. But I'm telling you, those 90 days are worth it, because if you're out here, okay, dealing with all the mess, going to all these IEPs and getting the no's, nothing's happening, your child's still in the same place, nothing's changed, it's doing nothing. Take a step back, go all the way back to the beginning and say, you know what, this ain't working no more. I got to go back here. I got to start over. We got to figure this out. And then you start over and you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to get an evaluation. I'm going to get the right evaluations. I'm going to make sure that I know myself what my child's baseline is, what their present levels need to be, and then goals can be established that are appropriate. And then you have your child set up for success again versus in this mess over here, where you're going to IEPs, you're going to IEPs, and nothing's really happening. You need to go back to the beginning. You need that evaluation, all right? And if you've had a recent evaluation and you don't agree in any way, shape, or form, then you need an IEE. And that IEE, this is another topic we're gonna talk about in this series, but that's important as well. All right. So you need to make sure that you are focused on what is going on, getting your child's IEP on point, and realizing that just because we're in this pandemic, just because things are not where they should be, just because they're not how they ordinarily are and how they transpire, we have to adapt. We have to figure it out. And we have to do the very best we can so that our kids are not suffering any more than they have to. And what I mean by suffering is that there's not a whole hell of a lot of regression continuing, that somehow we can put a stop to it and at least hold them where they are, if not try to have them make more progress. Versus this massive, oh my God, this online stuff is just not working. What am I going to do? And I get that, but I want something to work, something of anything, and you've got to just take a step back. And sometimes you just got to start with evaluations again, and if you've had recent evaluations, then get the heck back to the table if it's not working, because you've got to figure out what's not working, why it's not working, and what it is you need to do to change it. And if you keep getting the no's because it's this online mess and they're just saying no, 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 but based off evaluations that that's what your child needs, do not accept the no. You do not have to just be like, well, what do I do? They keep telling me no. There's options out there, guys. There are, whether that's an advocate, whether that's, you pursue things on your own, whatever the heck it is. Do not just accept the no. Do not just let them, chase you off. Do not do that. Do not just sit back and allow it to happen because you don't know what else to do. There's always another course of action, okay? And make sure you take that action, because it's not worth sitting back, and when you go back to school, your child's so far behind, catch up just seems almost slim to none. And if you think that the sole focus is going to be on your child when everybody else's child is in the same boat, you're sadly mistaken. So right now, here and now, you have to make sure that your child is taken care of and that your child's needs are handled, so that you're not starting school possibly next year and, your child not being at the forefront of everybody's mind, because there's going to be hundreds of other kids that come in the same boat. Okay? But we got to take care of our kids and make sure that your IEPs right here, right now, are on point. And you can get them there. And then when you get back into school, your IEPs are straight. They're on point. There's no deviating from that. And you make sure you hold them to that high standard. Okay? All right. So that's enough for tonight. Your tip of the week. Triennial Evaluations. If you're jumping on now, go back and watch the replay. Post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. You guys know what to do. And if you haven't joined the group, Autism Mom Rocks IEP group. Okay, guys? My child's last IEP goals are just ridiculous. After his evaluation and going over it with a few staff prior to the IEP meeting, he should have more than just 5 goals total, especially with the plop. After the meeting on Wednesday, I will tell them we need to schedule another meeting in 3 months to see the progress. I have everything right now ready to go, just touching up and continue to prepare. Good job. All right, guys, so I will talk to you soon. Hello, Sissy. Awesome. Anchorage, Alaska. That's really cool. And Precious, hello, hello. So hello, guys, and I'm so glad you joined me live. All right. I'm going to try to hop on tomorrow. Again, I have 2 back-to-back IEP meetings. It's going to be crazy tomorrow. But Tuesday I will definitely be on, and we have our, over in the group, the Q&A. So for those of you who don't know, I do a Q&A live on Tuesdays over in the group. So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. PM me if you need anything. Like I said, I haven't turned on my discovery call yet. So like I was saying to another lady, just PM me and I will set up a time to talk with you and we will go from there. Okay. I am taking new clients. And if you need anything, just PM me. So I do the IEP makeovers. I do the, the full shebang, where I take over your emails and everything like that. But whatever it is you need, PM me and we will talk about it. And hopefully by the first of the year, I'm going to turn on my discovery calls again, but just PM me. It's not a big deal. And I will get back to you. Okay, guys? So I hope you have a good evening. Okay? And I want you guys to make sure that you go back and re-listen to this, because it's really important to make sure that your kids get these evaluations and they get the right evaluations, not just thrown together a read and it be observation, or throw together, okay, I'll give you the whisk and OT evaluation. No, you need the whole damn picture. And if you don't have the whole picture, that's when things get awry and thrown all over the place. And then you are looking at your goals 6 to 9 months later and you're like, these aren't the right goals, or what are my child's present levels? Because it wasn't done right in the first place. Okay, so do it right in the first place. If you're over here in the middle of everything in this mess, step back and go back to the beginning. Okay, if you need some guidance, let me know. But please start over. All right, if you're in that place. All right, don't be in that place of like, what the heck is my child's present levels? I have no idea. Or, you know, you're struggling with something going on at home right now because we're in virtual learning, just, or even hybrid, or 2 days a week, or whatever it is for you. You're not alone. Many parents are going through this right now and struggling. And, you know, I think it's important for us to, you know, kind of band together and, you know, figure this out. But I also don't want you guys, in this mess, because it's not worth it and it's not something that you should be in. Okay, is virtual learning going to be awesome? No, but we can get your IEPs on point. There's no changing that. We can get everything together for you to make sure that once your child literally steps foot in the school, everything's good. The IEP is solid. And that's what you want. You want a solid IEP right now while they're in virtual, and definitely once they get into school. And the thing is virtually, that IEP upholds. It is what it is, you know, which is why so many more people are getting the no's for one-on-ones and, you know, for services and accommodations. But it's not okay. And you have to make sure you fight for it. And you can't just give up because they said no. Okay? All right. Have a good night, guys. I will talk to you soon.